Hi everyone, I hope all of you guys are doing well. So today I'm going to tell all of you aspirants by using examples from India's struggle of independence and also from the book Indian Polity and also from Master Answer Writing how what is the only way to write notes for UPSC, how you should make your notes, how should you focus on not spending too much time wasting too much time on making notes but getting it right by focusing on things that actually matter while making notes. Okay, how to write notes, how to make notes is one of the topics that every time I go to any seminar, every time I talk to any of you aspirants, you ask me this question, sir, how do I make notes effectively and don't waste time when I'm studying for UPSC? And today I'm going to tell you the only way in which you can effectively and productively without wasting time you can make notes. You know, a lot of aspirants have this habit of making really pretty, really beautiful and pretty notes. What do I mean by that? Well, they will open a book. Let's say you are studying history, India's struggle for independence from Bipin Chandra, or even if you are, let's say, studying from Spectrum book, you will open this book and you will go through each and every point and you will write down these points copy to copy in your notes, and you will end up wasting a lot of time. A lot of aspirants do that. I have seen they will underline, they will highlight, they will make this really pretty notes where they are going through the entire book and almost 70% of the book they are just writing down back in the notes. Now those notes are not going to help you. Those notes are not going to be helpful because of a very simple reason. See, when you are making notes, you should be spending, when you are making notes, you could be spending almost 50% or 60% of your time making notes, where you are writing down 60% of the content from the original book or the other notes. This could be one way, and a lot of aspirants do it this way and they lose out on a lot of time. Or you could be someone else who is spending up to max 30% of your time making notes and then using 60-70% of your time in actually understanding those notes. And you have only written down, let's say, 30% of the content, relevant content. So this is what you want to do. You want to be a person who has only spent 20 to 30% of time actually making the notes, and the content that you are getting down from the book is only 30 up to 30% that you have to write, rewrite or highlight, which you are writing in your notes, and then rest of the time you are actually spending in understanding and re-revising your notes and studying your content. Now this is where you want to be, and that is how I'm going to teach you how to make notes today. I don't want to be too in this camp at all. All right. So let's see how would I go ahead and make notes from India's struggle for independence. This is one example. You can use this particular technique anywhere. It is definitely very easy and definitely very helpful while you are studying for UPSC. Now remember one thing, the most important things to write down in notes are these. I will give you 4-5 things which you should always write down in your notes. Apart from this, most of the things you don't have to write down in your notes. The what actually are you studying, actually that is important. Why that particular thing happened or that particular topic, what is the main concept behind it, what is the main concept underlying. If it is history, when did it happen, okay, how did it happen, or how that concept is manifesting. There could be different concepts. There could be an economic concept about inflation. So how would you study that? how that particular concept affects whatever it affects. It could affect inflation, could affect interest rates, all these different things are interrelated. So that's how you want to study. So what, why, when, how, and in addition to that, of course, not just what you're studying, but what are the repercussions. So what are the causes and consequences. So whatever you're studying, what are the consequences of that, what are the causes of that. If you're studying history, let's say for example, what are the important dates that will come in when, okay, where did it happen. Again, when you're studying history, where did it happen, so the location will come. Then again, in what personalities will come. For every movement or for everything you're studying from history, some personalities will be related to that particular thing. So all these different kind of things you should be covering in your notes. That is very, very important. The other thing that is very important is keywords. See, when you are studying anything, there are certain keywords related to that particular subject. Subject keywords. And these keywords help you to basically make your own content, make your answers. When you're writing answers for UPSC, they make that particular answers look great, because it shows that you have actually studied, and that is what the examiner is also looking for, whether you are able to understand those keywords and reproduce those keywords, because they form the heart of that particular concept. So you want to know those keywords as well. So all these particular things and keywords. Now let's say you are studying Indian polity instead of the history, then the things will be a little bit more different, because let's say you are studying the question on amendment of the Constitution. So again, what is the amendment of the Constitution? So in basic 2-3 lines you can actually summarize what the amendment of the Constitution is, and it is given here. Article 368 in the part 20 of Constitution deals with the powers of Parliament to amend the Constitution and its procedure. That is what you have to basically, that is the what. Other than that, you don't need to know much about what part. Other than that, there will be a lot of information, but you need to write down in the notes in a different way. You can't just be reproducing all this. Okay? So that is very, very important for you to understand. Now, like for example, here there are exceptions to the rule that the Parliament cannot amend the basic structure of the Constitution. So when you are writing notes, so I'll give you an example now here. Well, you are actually writing notes. Say you have written, what is amendment of the Constitution. So Article 368, Part 20, provided by, simple. It provides the procedure and the powers and procedure to Parliament for amendment of the Constitution. Now, exceptions, basic structure, doctrine by SC in Keswananda Bharti case. (1973). This is the exception to that. All right. Now, in concept, so this is what in concept. Why, or you can just write concept. You can also write down about the international comparison. So in US, it is much harder to actually amend the Constitution, but in Britain it's very easy. So you can say India is in the middle. So all this is given here in the opening only, and I have written it in such succinct, such easy way for you to understand in the actual notes. So this is the criticism, this is the procedure. Now then, this is the types, this is the procedure, and then, so literally this entire part has been, the basic has been given here. Okay, and then when you're coming, so now we will go to the further how. So how it can be amended, how, so the procedure, and then in the procedure also you have to just write main lines. An amendment to the constitution can be initiated only by introduction of a bill for the purpose. Now don't reproduce these notes when you're studying, when you're sitting and actually reading these things. Don't go ahead and reproduce, just rewrite these things, apply your mind. So that's why here this process focuses on application of mind. That is very, very important. I just showed you how you can do application of a mind and make the notes. And the notes that I have provided for polity, they are available also. You can download them. This is the strategy I follow. I am not reproducing everything from the book. In fact, this is what I am doing there. Alright. And this will help you greatly in answer writing. In fact, I have covered this in the master answer writing book that I told you about recently. In that there is an entire dedication to the question of how you can practice good answer writing alongside when you are studying. Okay, that is very, very important thing that you have to also do. So now let's see. I told you I will also show you from India's struggle for independence. See, this is the chapter. Let's say we are going to pick an economic critique of colonialism. Now, an economic critique of colonialism, here this is a chapter of around 7-8 pages, I think, not much. Yeah, this is around 5-6 pages. And in this particular chapter, first of all, try to understand what is the author talking about. The author is talking about British rules, how it was an economic disaster for India. So many Indian intellectuals started criticizing the British rule on the basis of the fact that they were destroying us economically, and in which again we are going to talk about these things only. What was the topic? The economic critique, how the British were destroying India's economy. Why? The concept behind all this, which you will read through the chapter. When all these theories came, how they came, all that, the concept behind it, how was it done by the British, the causes, the consequences of that, where it could be related to time period, and so that could come here also. But here there is no location as such, but we can see if we find something, we can obviously put it here, and then the keywords, that is important. So when I was reading the chapter, this is how I would make the notes. I don't need to rewrite a lot of these things. Maybe I can use the margins of the book to make some short note hands. You can do it in pencil, obviously I do it in pen. I am very bad like that because I think I should be respecting the book more, but unfortunately, I like to mark the book. So anyways, so here I have shown you how I would underline only the very, very important things. I have noticed students are underlining a lot of things. Only things that are related to all this you need to underline in the book. Okay. So now for this particular chapter, when we are studying it, here I have marked one is because the first leaders to criticize the colonial economic domination of the British in India were the moderates, the early leaders of our freedom movement, who were known as the moderates. In the first half of they were in the 19th century, in the 1800s, to develop some kind of economic critique against the colonial power. And the means of spreading that was through popular agitations, lectures, pamphlets, newspapers, dramas, songs, and Prabhat Pheris. So they were not very aggressive. They were using these ways to actually make the people aware against the economic drain that the British rule was causing on India. Okay. So now, so very simply, when you're making notes, like I showed you for polity, let's say you are making notes on economic critique. This is a very important chapter, by the way. Lot of questions have come from the chapter in the past, so you should read this carefully. Economic criticism, critique of colonialism. So in this 19th century, by who? Moderates. And now here, when you are reading the chapter, now see, when you write like this, when you read the chapter, you can always come back and also write major personalities who were involved in this, so that you can always come back to notes and quickly revise them. So when I read the chapter, I underline the personalities here, and then I can write that here in my notes. So instead of actually making all the notes in this running manner when you are actually reading the book, which a lot of students do, you can do this. So Dada Bhai, Nairoji, he is considered to be the greatest one among these. Then M.G. Ranade, Justice M.G. Ranade, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, R.C. Dutt, R.C. Dutt, G.V. Joshi, G. Subramaniam Iyer, so like this, that these are the major persons. There are more, but I have written. So like this, it is easier for you to remember and to process this information and to have something in front of through which you can quickly revise. So like this, you will make the notes here for all the reasons. Here there will be causes or the reasons. So what were the theories that they gave? Like the British were the drain theories there. So all this is given here, and one by one you can read this. How were they actually spreading these ideas? You can read that, and then of course you can make that in the notes. Okay. A lot of this information you will not need, obviously. Now, accordingly, when you are doing that, you want to focus on the keywords also, and you want to write down these important keywords. So drain theory is one keyword. You should know it. Whenever you are writing an answer, when you are doing answer writing, I have told you in the answer writing book also, whenever you are writing answers, if you are writing answer on the economic critique of the British, then you have to obviously write drain theory. That is very, very important. Similarly, other such keywords would be that I have read in this book, in this particular chapter, is, for example, I will give you the example of that. The essence of 19th century colonialism, they said, lay in the transformation of India into a supplier of food and raw materials to metropolis, a market for the metropolitan manufacturers and field of investments in the British. So you should know that they wanted to make India a supplier of raw materials. This is an important keyword you want to use. Obviously, that is very obvious also. Along with that, like when you are reading this, you will find so much is given in this chapter, so many useful information is there. See, here you will come. The great need of the Indian industrialization, it had to be based on Indian capital and not foreign capital. This is important. So something like this is part of the keywords you are using to make your point. Okay. So like this, when you go through this chapter, you will find out these keywords that you must be using in the context of when you are actually writing this particular answer related to this, or there is a question related to this particular topic. The focal point of the nationalist critique of the colonialism was the drain theory. So this is important, that a lot of wealth was being transferred or drained to Britain in the form of salaries and pensions of the British servants, civil servants. So like this, you see, lot of these kind of keywords are given, and when you are reading a book, instead of writing pretty notes, writing down everything, you should be focusing on only the important parts. I hope this class will help you today, and you are getting the your answers on how to make notes. And I feel this is the only way to actually make fantastic notes when you're studying for UPSC. Take care, bye.